Hi everyone. This video is being recorded a little later than normal. Um, but today is the fifth day of Navratri. It is still it's the second day in which we celebrate Mahalakshmi. And yesterday in my message to you, I had said that we would talk a little bit about how Mahalakshmi here is represented as a warrior goddess rather than the typical um, um, more or less sedate goddess of prosperity that we see. And in that image, what we typically would see is her, the things that she holds in her four hands would be a pot of gold, money spilling out of her hands. She would have the hasta, the blessing hand. She also has the lotus, I think. But there are no weapons. There is no warrior aspect to her. So the thing to understand is in this myth, in the Devi Mahatmyam, where we talk about the omniscient energy that creates the world, that fills everything with its energy. There are her power, her energy is considered to be made up of three separate pieces, three separate types of energy. So we talk about the tamasic energy, the rajasic energy, and the sattvic energy. I mentioned this a little bit in my first video. The tamasic energy could also be considered. It's often called inertia. It's the power that the Devi uses to conceal. Okay, so there is potentiality there, but it's not yet come into fruition. Everything is in a state of inertia, and that is the power that Mahakali represents. Mahasaraswati represents the Rajasic energy, and I should also say that these three energies are considered superior representations of the Kali, the Lakshmi, and the Saraswati that we talk about in normal kind of everyday worship in Hinduism. So the Mahalakshmi that we have here is represents the Rajasic energy, and Rajas is action, it's passion, it's royal, there's a lot of activity in Rajas. So it goes from inertia to activity, and then Sattvic represents knowledge, the removing of ignorance, the realization of unity, actually. So the myth, as it crosses through these three types of energies in its stories, is a metaphor for how we move from inertia to action to knowledge to achieve enlightenment. So the Mahalakshmi that we see here has 18 arms, 6 of which she has she has weapons, right? So she has a sword, and she has a spear, and she has a mace, and all of those. The reason we see gods with weapons in Hinduism is a metaphor for what they do or how they help to defeat ignorance. and various manifestations of ignorance. So that's why we would say that the Mahalakshmi that is represented here represents not only the power of prosperity and abundance, but also the work that has to be done in order to get to that prosperity and abundance, because there is the typical kinds of the fears, the hesitation, the self-doubt, the anger, all of those things that prevent us from taking the next step to our next level of magnificence. This Mahalakshmi, this version of Mahalakshmi, can help us fight. As we invoke her within us, we are working to fight those elements in us that are pulling us down. So in the battle with Mahishasura, for example, we see her fight people called the English translation of which would be coarseness, the bellicosity, impure intention. Just there are all of these demons with very evocative names that give us a hint as to what are the battles that we would be fighting in order to receive the abundance and prosperity that we have asked for, right? So yesterday we talked about how when the devas, when the gods in the Devaloka were having a problem, they moved out of wallowing in the problem to asking for a solution, praying, asking for a solution, and then the gods gave them this form of Mahalakshmi. Now, in order for Mahalakshmi to be able to work with you, in order for that energy of prosperity and abundance and Rajas, the royalty, to be able to work with you, there are things that you have to overcome within you. Granted, there are interpretations of Rajas that calls it ego and the negative aspects of Rajas. But here, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about all of the negative aspects of ourselves, our own sense of not being enough, that holds us back. And in order to receive the gift of Mahalakshmi, we have to be willing to do this work, to do this fight, to get to our next level of magnificence. So the interpretation of Mahalakshmi here is much bigger than the typical Lakshmi that we're talking about. She's not only representing grandiosity and royalty and abundance and prosperity, but she also represents or is providing the wherewithal to fight the base nature of our emotional, spiritual life, which then allows us to move into a space where we can welcome her gifts in. Okay, so that's the message for today, is that you can ask, and you typically are provided a solution once you ask for it. But in order to receive the solution, you have to be able to move from this place of blaming, victimhood, lack of trust, etc., to a space where you are willing to do the work to overcome the negative beliefs that you have about yourself and others and about life, so that the abundance and prosperity that Mahalakshmi represents can flow into you. And what you see in this, in the two chapters, that the second submyth in the Devi Mahatmyam is written, is you see how bloody the war is. It's a very violent myth. So there are the descriptions of the war are very gory, and the reason that my interpretation of the gore is that it is a gory and hideous battle that we fight every day to move away from separation to unity, to move away from the sense that we are small and non-divine, to the understanding that we are representations of the divine and we are eternal spirits. Because there is always this force that is trying to pull us down, pull us back, in order to allow us to experience the joy of the truth. So I hope that makes sense to you. I would love to hear what you think about it. Put your comments in the comment section in the YouTube video. And I will also post a blog. There will be a blog post that links to these ideas. So have a wonderful rest of the day, and hope you start off tomorrow, Monday, with a great week. I will talk to you tomorrow morning. Bye.